We're going to look at tables. This video is going to show you how to create a table, how to move around it, and how to do some simple editing within a table, as well as adding in new rows and columns. So let's start with how we actually create a table. Tables are inserted in two ways. All of them are using the insert ribbon. So if you click on the insert button, your table options are here within your ribbon. Click on that to open that menu, and you can either manually insert a table. You have got an option of 10 by 10 using this. We've got our grid here. So if I, for example, wanted a 3 by 4 table, that would be 3 columns across and 4 rows down. That would create a table that was 3 by 4. Or I can click on Insert Table. And this allows me to manually key in how many rows, how many columns I want within it. So for this table, we are going to have 4 columns and we are going to have 5 rows. So do it that way and click OK. So here you can see our table. This is my table made up of columns, which are vertical. They go up and down the way like Nelson's column. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 columns here. And we've also got 5 rows. Our rows are horizontal, like a row of knitting. And you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different rows. Within our table, we have got these individual boxes. Each box within our table is referred to as a cell, so just like we have within a spreadsheet. And I can move around my cells by either using my arrow keys, which allow me to move up and down, backwards and forwards, so I can go left and right, or I can use my tab key. My tab key will jump from cell to cell, but it will only allow me to move forward. I can't move backwards or up and down. It will only go one cell at a time, or I can use my mouse and I can click using my cursor into each of the cells. But whichever cell my cursor is flashing within is the cell that is active, and that is the cell that data that I am going to key in is going to go into. So I'm going to enter text within my table. Very simple to do, just as you would within a Word document. You just start keying in and move around your table in order to populate it. So here I have my populated table. You can see that we have got information in this first column on the salespersons. We've got the different names of our different staff. And then within each of these 3 columns, we have got their sales for the 3 of the different products that we sell. So we have got numerical data. You can also see, though, that this first row within the table is essentially our title row. So just as within a Word document, we want our titles to stand out. So highlighting that row will allow me to edit all of the information in that row at the same time. So I highlighted that row by just clicking to the outer edge of it. So if I click within here and click again to let you see, my cursor is just on the outside of the row. In line with it, if I click, it highlights the whole row. And what pops up is I suppose, the main formats that the computer thinks I'm going to use. Which is correct. I'm going to embolden my headings. I'm going to click on the B and it will make my headings bold and make them stand out. Now, what you will also notice is whenever I'm clicked within my table, my ribbon instructions have changed. I've got my table tools that will appear. If I click out of the table, you can see that they disappear. If I click back in the table, they reappear. So I've got the design and layout ribbons here that are linked specifically to my table. And within these, they have within them really the main sort of formatting tools that I'm going to need to be able to edit and manipulate the data within my table the way that I would like it. What I can also do is I can change how this information looks. This is my heading row. I want to make it stand out a little bit. I don't want it to be the exact same in terms of height and things as all the other data. But again, if I highlight my row, if I click, if I hover, you can see if I hover my cursor there, do you see how my cursor changes if it hovers on the line separating row 1 and row 2? I can manually click and I can drag it and it will make that row deeper. It will make it a bit bigger. I could change it within my layout ribbon by using my height icon. So I can manually change the height that way. So let's make it 1 centimeter. And you can see that that makes that heading row kind of stand out a little bit. It makes it a little bit more obvious. The way that the data now sits perhaps doesn't look quite so handy. So what I can do is I can align my text. So as well as emboldening by highlighting the row, I can change how my text and my numbers, all of my data, where it sits within the cell. As you know from doing Word documents, you can align text left, center, right align, and you can have text justified. Well, we can do similar here within our table. We can align where the data sits within the cell. So for example, I would like to change where the data sits in these last 3 columns. Because we're dealing with numbers, I want to line it up to the right-hand side of the cell, because I would like, my units, my tens, my hundreds, my thousands, all lined up correctly. So in order to do that, within the Layout Table Tool ribbon, here we've got our alignment. We've got lots of different options. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose align center right. Now it will change and move the figures to the right of the cell, but it will also change the alignment in terms of where the data sits vertically. Now you won't notice it within the number cells, but you will within my heading cells. So if I click that icon, there we go. You can see that the cells, the data has moved over to the right-hand side, but what it's also done is it has put the headings within the center of the cell. So they're sitting vertically in the center. The salesperson one, I'm going to move it so that it is the same. I still want the data within this column to be right aligned, but again, I would like it to be aligned vertically within the center. So if I click that, and it will just make the change there to that first cell, because that is the only cell where my height within the row is different. I can also do the same with column width. I can either manually change my column width here by dragging my cursor, the line using my cursor, or if I highlight my columns, I can change the column width this way. So for example, if I wanted them all to be 3 centimeters, I can just key in 3 centimeters, press enter, and it will automatically make my column the width that I have chosen. Or again, I can use the up arrow, the down arrow in order to change it that way. So lots of different things that I can do in terms of my alignment. Now, what if once I've created my table, I realize, oh, actually, I don't need, or I haven't got, I'm missing some information. I need another row. If I, for example, needed another row at the end, so I needed to add a 6th row, really easy. If I just click my cursor in that final cell, and then I press my Tab key on my keyboard, which is above my caps lock key, it will automatically introduce a new column, a new row at the bottom of my table. So I can populate that and put the information in here that I need. So you can see here I've keyed in a new member of staff. So that's really handy to insert a row at the end of my table. But what if I wanted a row sort of in the middle of my table? So say I wanted a row in between Pete White and George York. I wanted it to go in here. Well, there's 2 different ways that I can do this. If I highlight and sort of click, do you see how I get a plus button here? If I click on that, what it will do is it will add a row above that plus. I'll sort of put it in between the 2 rows that are already there. Or what I can do is if I click anywhere within the George York row, right click, and I can go to insert, and I can insert rows above, insert rows below. So it'll insert above where my cursor is, or it'll insert a row below where my cursor is. I can use that method as well. Or again, here within my layout ribbon, I have options: insert above, insert a row above, or insert a row below where my cursor is. So there's 3 different ways that we can insert a new row. And again, I can populate this by keying in the information that I want to show. So you can see there we have keyed in James's details and added him to it. As well as adding in new rows, we can also add new columns to our table. So for example, instead of just having the 4, I can add a 5th column in. So doing it in exactly the same way as we did before. So say, for example, I would like a column here in between salesperson and dolls. What I'm going to do is place my cursor anywhere within the dolls column. And again, I can use the insert column option within my layout ribbon. I can choose insert left, which would put it to the left of my cursor. Insert right would put a new column in between dolls and trucks, so it would insert it to the right of my cursor. Or I can right click and I can choose insert, and again I can choose insert columns to the left or insert columns to the right. So I'm going to insert a column to the left. I would like it here in between salesperson and dolls. Now I will need to have that formatted, so we're going to key the information into this column that we would like, and we're also going to set the alignment. Now this is text, so I am yet again going to align it to the center left just so it's the same as salesperson for the sake of this example, and I'm going to populate the information. So you can see we have the information there, and I will ensure that the alignment, because it's text, is set to the left alignment. So there we have creating a table, formatting that table to some extent, and inserting rows and columns.